What is going on, guys, and welcome to a new video. And today is going to be the more in-depth Telos boss guide. I've been killing this boss quite a lot. Currently have about 125 kills, I think. No drops so far, but yeah, I think I've found out a fairly decent rotation for sort of 100 plus enrage. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoy the video. And we'll be jumping into the first bit, which is going to be the setup that I use now. Okay, so I'm just going to pop on screen at the moment links to the different phases of the fight, so if you are interested in just one specific phase, then you can just jump straight to that. And just going into the inventory now, in my yak I've got 25 rot tails and 5 brews, with the brews nearer to the bottom. I feel that they come out at like a nice timing once I've used the brews in my inventory. 6 brews, 2 restores in the invent, and then I've got, you know, the normal overload, restore, potion. I'd recommend weapon poison. If you have a normal adrenaline potion, then take an extra restore with you. Now the runes that you're going to want to take are water, blood, soul and earth, and this is so you can cast ice barrage and also shield dome, which will be useful. And then you're going to want a wand and shield switch in the invent. Now I know seismic wand's a fair bit of money, so tier 80, tier 85 wand are absolutely fine, but I do recommend that tier 90 shield, considering they're only a couple of mil, and it will help you out for the longer barricade duration and also the higher resonance heals. And I would also recommend the Enhanced Excalibur. And then Dreadnip's not too important, but they do help out on phase 5, just to get a little bit of extra time DPS in the boss. And then looking at the gear, I'd go for DPS gear, so I've got the full Tectonic on. Definitely for the Amulet of Souls, because when you are Soul Split Thicken, obviously more heals, and reduce damage taken from the boss when your overhead prayers are on. And also, I'd say Ring of Death with a Ring of Vigor switch. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to go over is Telos' 3 special attacks. The first of these is his tendril attacks, and this is where you have to do a certain amount of damage to Telos to make the tendrils stop hitting you for constant typeless damage and also draining your adrenaline. Now, these attacks come in a rotation, so you can predict when they're going to happen, and you can counter them by specific rotations, sort of using your thresholds just as he's about to do it. And I'll go into these rotations further into the guide. The second one is his charge attack. He raises his arm and like it glows and he'll charge at you. This will hit you for typeless damage if you don't get out of the way of it, but can be negated with resonance or with a well-timed surge. Then the final one is his stun jump attack. And basically he will hit you with melee and stun you, and then jump on your head, which will hit. The melee attack hits very high melee damage, and the jump hits very high typeless damage. This can again be countered using anticipate and then resonance to get a nice heal off it. Okay, so jumping into the first phase, you want to run over to Telos and start building up your adrenaline. I recommend using bleeds and moving the boss around, and use an adrenaline pot to build up your adrenaline. Now it's going to be 8 attacks until it does its first tendril special attacks. So when you get to about 80% adrenaline, you want to go into the detonate ability and charge that up. And then on the as it does its 7th hit, you can open up Soul Split and use the detonate and the wild magic, and this will do enough damage to release you from the tendrils, and then you can go into asphyxiate. Now it's going to be a couple more attacks until it does its surge attack. Now you can move out of the way of this using surge, but I actually like to use shield dome here, because as soon as I've used shield dome, I can run into that beam. Okay, so this is where you have to do a lot at once. You want to use anticipate and run into the beam, and then go into sunshine straight away, and it's going to do its jump attack now. So swap to your shield and use resonance and take your prayer off if you can to get a bigger heal. And then you want to move away from the boss so that the jump attack doesn't hit you. If it does, it'll hit typeless damage and remove your prayer. So head back into the beam and build your adrenaline. Now it's going to do the tendrils attack again after 3 hits, so you want to go into detonate again. And then, unfortunately, I didn't have enough adrenaline here, but you would detonate wild magic, but it's actually, if you don't have enough adrenaline, use detonate and fire breath. You can see here that I haven't done enough damage, so it continues to drain my adrenaline and hit me in this tendrils attack until I can do enough. Now we're back to the same rotation now, so it's going to be 3 more hits and it's going to do its charge, and then it's going to do its jump attack again. And it's also going to spawn another one of the green beams for you to run into. Now it's important to run into that beam again, because you'll see at the top there is a bar, and that charges up when the beam is going into Telos. And when that bar gets full, it unleashes a deadly anima attack, which can hit you for very, very high damage. So when it goes into the next charge attack, you want to surge back down the beam so that you stay in it and Telos isn't in it. And then again, you want to use anticipate here because it's about to do its jump attack again, and you should be able to get a nice resonance heal in once it does the jump attack. But the important thing is to get that anticipate on. If you don't get the anticipate on in time, you need to instantly use freedom so that you can run away from this attack. And you'll see here, I swap to my shield, anticipate is up, and I can get a nice resonance heal. Now, earlier enrages, that should be enough to get to the next phase. However, for these higher enrages, you want to wait until the boss will always move you as it did there, and then you want to go into onslaught. And this is because this works really well because it does a nice amount of damage, and it also hits through the tendrils attack again. If you don't have onslaught, just keep using that same rotation, so detonate, wild magic, asphyxiate, and keep going through the rotations until you've done enough damage to get the boss down. However, going into this onslaught there, I knew that I was going to do enough damage to get it to the next phase before the anima beam charged up. Okay, so your character will now run down to the next level, and I'll just take this time to explain what the bar at the top is for the next phase. And basically, when the black beam goes into Telos, this bar charges up at the top, and when it hits a certain point in the attack rotation, it'll start using magic attacks instead of melee attacks, and these magic attacks will hit subsequently more, but the bar will drain. So it's important that when these magic attacks are happening, that you don't allow Telos' bar to continuously charge up, otherwise it'll just get hit higher and higher and higher. Okay, so for the start of this phase, you want to attack Telos and wait for the first black beam to spawn, and then you want to move him out of that black beam. Now, it's important that you are ready for his jump attack, because this can happen. Basically, it can use one of its special attacks at the start of this beam, at the start of this phase, and it's important that you have anticipate up in case he decides to use that jump attack. Now, you can see that as my anticipate ran out, I then used devotion. This was in case he again used his jump attack later on, and then I can freedom it with that, because you won't have time to do freedom and resonance. So having that devotion up means you can freedom out of it and not take sort of a 2k hit. So yeah, once he's done that jump attack, it's all good from here because you know whether he is in the rotation. So after that jump, it's going to be the surge attack, and then it's going to be the tendrils attack. Now, once he's done that jump, it's going to change the beam. So it's important that you move him out of the beam again so the bar at the top doesn't charge up, and then you can go into sunshine, and you basically want to do as much damage as possible. Now, at this point, you're going to get the bleed, which is only cleansed by standing in the black stream. So you're going to want to run over to wherever the black stream is, and then stand in that stream to remove this bleed from yourself. And you got to watch out because it's going to do its surge attack after it's done its jump. It's about 5 or 6 hits afterwards. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough to surge away from that, so just eat up if it is going to hit you, and you can use obviously that shield dome again. Now, on the 4th hit after that surge, it's going to be the tendrils again, so it's really good to get into your detonate and Dragonfire Breath again. We can see here I didn't have quite enough adrenaline, so instead I went straight into Wild Magic and Dragon Breath. And you've got to sort of adapt to the amount of adrenaline that you have in the situation you find yourself in. So if you can't charge your detonator up, you're better off using the Wild Magic, the Asphyxiate first, instead of the detonate. Now, 3 attacks after that Tendrils attack, Telos is going to start using its magic attacks, which is where it drains the bar and hits you with magic. And you see here there's a slight pause, and now it's going to go into it. Now, this is the point where you need to stand in the beam and block it from going into Telos so that bar continuously goes down. Now, unfortunately here there is an anti-walk mechanic where Telos will not move from where he is, and if he is stood on the one square that you are, where the beam comes out of, what you have to do is you just can't attack and you have to wait. And this was my own fault for not positioning the boss right, but you need to make sure that he's not on the edges of the room at this point, because otherwise you'll have to block the beam and just wait it out essentially, which is really, really annoying. So make sure that you don't do what I do here. Make sure Telos isn't stood right on the corners of the room. And then once that bar is charged down, he's going to go back into the normal rotation. So it's going to be 3 hits. It's going to be the jump attack, then it's going to be about 6 or 7 hits, charge, and then 3 hits, and then it's going to go into the tendrils attack. So as soon as he starts meleeing you again, you want to anticipate, and this is where it's going to do his jump attack. Now, I wasn't quick enough to get my shield on here, so instead I just used freedom to avoid that jump, and you see there I get hit quite a nasty hit. But this is the point where you go into the same rotation again, where you go into the sunshine rotation, and then you stand in the beam to clear the bleed and continue DPSing it down. Now, important thing to note is, depending on your enrage, you need to make sure you're high adrenaline and high health when you go into the next phase. So it's important to keep an eye on Telos' health at the top. So you can see here this kill is 150% enraged. Now, there is a cap but for this enrage level, the HP at which I'll go through to the next phase is 200,000 plus half of whatever the enrage is. So the enrage is 150, which means that it'll be 200,000 plus another 75,000 health, because half of 150 is 75, so it's 275,000 is when this phase, when I will go through to the next phase for this. So make sure that you are high adrenaline and you are high health before that happens. You can see here, I'm just building up my adrenaline, building up my health, so that I can do that for the next phase. Okay, so I'll again use this time just as we're swapping phases to explain the next phase. And so the next one is a red beam, and essentially when the beam is going into Telos, it'll charge, it'll move a green sort of slider to the right that you'll see at the top, and when that gets all the way to the right, Telos will release a detonate explosion which will hit you for thousands and thousands of typeless damage, and you can do that more than once, so you can get hit really high damage. And then when the red beam is going into you, you will do more damage to Telos, and also the bar will move to the left. Now when it gets really far to the left, it'll steal some of your adrenaline, but that is much better than the typeless damage that his explosion attacks can do. Okay, so this is the make or break phase, and it's a pretty tricky phase, but the best advice I can give about this is just practice. So it's really important that you're high adrenaline and full health. You can see that I eat up to full, and I just start building my adrenaline to 100% on Telos. Now I like to run to the western side of the room, because sometimes a beam will spawn here and you'll be directly in it straight away. So you can see here a beam has spawned to the north, so I'm going to run north and stand in that beam. Now I don't go into your ultimate straight away, because it's important that you make sure that Telos isn't going to push you out of that beam. So I can see here it didn't get pushed, and I'm going to go straight into my onslaught. Now what you need to be watching for once you go into your onslaught, you can use sunshine if you don't have onslaught, is for the spawn of a golem. So you see there to the right of me that a golem has spawned, and this means that Telos is going to do one of its special attacks soon. It's either going to be the charge or the jump. Unfortunately I get unlucky here when he does the jump attack, so I cancel my onslaught with freedom and get my melee prayer on to negate that damage. And then the important thing is that you run in the direction opposite to the direction that the beam is going, because this means that Telos won't get charged up. And then also you want to kill the golem, because the golem acts like the beam is going into Telos, which means it needs to be killed to stop that green bar going to the right. Now it will spawn one golem, then two, then three, and it's important that you just continuously kill these. And after the jump, you'll see, as in with the black phase, you get that consistent bleed again. It's important that you go and stand in the red beam to clear that bleed, and I'll explain that in a minute, because it's about to do its charge attack. So you want to surge away from that charge attack and make sure that the bleed has been cleared, because it's going to be 3 attacks until it does its jump again, and you won't be able to resonance if it's doing the bleed attack. So after the charge, again, use your anticipate, and then you want to use resonance. And now what you need to be careful of is that the magic attack that it does doesn't cancel your resonance, so you want to leave it to the last tick to use that resonance, just so that it doesn't get cancelled. And then again, it's exactly the same. It's important to just keep Telos out of that beam and only go in it yourself if you're 100% certain that you can stay in it. And if he pushes you out of it, don't try and maneuver around the beam, just run away and watch that bar at the top. If it's starting to get into the dangerous red zone, you'll see me do it in a minute. Just put on your shield, use reflect to halve that damage. If you're really getting wrecked, use shield dome, use debilitate, use all of those abilities that you can. Just to negate that damage. You can see here I'm in the beam, he's not pushing me out of it, and that is the key to this phase, is just practice. Practicing maneuvering Telos, practice getting him out of the beams. Make sure that you don't focus on DPS, so you want to DPS as much as you can at the start, and then basically just kill those golems to stop that bar going all the way to the right. You'll see that I get pushed out there and I run away to get him out of that beam. I don't even remotely try and get back in it. And that is the way to do this phase. Okay, so I'm just going to speed up the rest of this phase. You can see I just follow the same rotation. I resonance the jump attacks, kill the minions, keep Telos out of the beam, and just go into the beam when I feel that I can. If I am pushed out of it, then I can just maneuver Telos out of it very quickly, and just stop that bar going to the right hand side, and just basically get him down to the next phase without using too much food. Okay, so for the next phase, there is a couple of things that you've got to watch out for, and the main thing that I found is that it's just conserving food, because you can eat through the damage and there is less potential for a one-hit KO, unlike the nuke attack on this phase. But yeah, it's best to conserve food for the final phase during this one. So when it spawns, I again like to be ready in case it does a jump attack, so I'll have my anticipate up, and I will also, once that's run out, I'll use my devotion. Now, instead of the tendrils attack, it does an anima bomb attack, which you can see there. And then we know where it is in the rotation, so it's the rotation for the special attacks in this one is anima bomb, jump, and then surge. Now, because I've already used my anticipate here, I use my devotion and then freedom to avoid the jump. Instead of using, because I'd already used my resonance and it was still on cooldown. So if your resonance is on cooldown, the best way to deal with the jump is devotion and freedom, and then obviously you need to follow this attack rotation whilst DPSing Telos down. Now, at a certain point, you need to make sure you run east and you buy this green orb to start off with, because this is where it'll spawn the first set of minions. And now each of the minions has a different sort of, not special, but the red one can stun you. The green one, I believe, when it attacks you, charges up Telos' bar at the top. And the black one reduces the effectiveness of your armor. Now, a good tip for this is, and also when you're next to the orb will steal your health to charge it up to avoid the instant one-hit KO. That's where you'll see that green shield around you. Now, things to remember are that when Telos spawns the minions, it will stay in the same point of its attack rotation. So if the next attack the next special attack was going to be the jump, then it will be the jump once the minions are dead. And you just have to remember that, because you can get caught out sometimes. You see there, I got the resonance in because I knew the jump was coming, but you just have to remember where in the rotation Telos is. Once you killed those minions and survived the first one hit, you need to run to the red orb, and then you can reflect that anima bomb, and then the bleed that the anima bomb causes will go into that red one. Now, what I like to do here is to barricade and then use an auto attack to stun the minions, because this means that they can't attack you and can't do their special attacks on you, so you can't get stunned by the red one when it's frozen and away from you. So once your barricade has run out, swap back to your two-handed weapon and the shield dome is up. Now, the thing you've got to be careful of here is that Telos can release its pure anima bomb, which can hit you like 7 or 8k. If it does like this one here, what you need to do is you need to shield dome that if it does it instantly. However, if your resonance is off cooldown, because the first anima bomb that it does will put all your defensives on cooldown, and then it's 3 attacks, and then your resonance will be off cooldown. If it does the anima bomb before that, you want to use shield dome. But if it's delayed, which it should hopefully be most of the time, then you can just use resonance to negate that. And then the third and final orb is exactly the same. You want to damage Telos down until it spawns the next set of minions. Use barricade to negate the damage, and just make sure that you continuously remember where Telos is in the attack rotation. So he's just done his anima bomb there. The next attack is going to be the jump attack. And yeah, that's the best way to sort of save food on this phase, and make sure that you have enough going into phase 5. So you can see here that the minions have spawned. I'll go into barricade now to save the food, and then I can just move a few steps away once I've stunned those minions with ice barrage so that they can't use their special attacks on me. And after this is the final insta kill that you have to survive before going through to phase 5. Now, it's important, I like to go through to phase 5, obviously, full health, full adrenaline, and the best way I've found to do that is to go through after Telos has done his jump attack, because that's when you can resonance. So you see here, I'll be DPS and Telos down, he's just done his surge attack, which means the next one is an anima bomb. You can see I've already run over back to that green, the green start point so that the anima bomb bleed is removed. And then we know that the jump attack is going to come next, so I'll use my anticipate, my resonance. This will bring me up to very high health. And it's good now just to use, I like to use Wild Magic or Asphyxiate just to bring him through to that next phase. I get a little bit unlucky here, doesn't quite get pushed through until the surge. But yeah, that's how you do this phase. And hopefully you should be high health, high adrenaline, ready for phase 5. Okay, so this phase can seem quite manic, but there's a couple of things you need to remember. So what Telos is going to do is he's going to spawn like 6 minions, and it could be the green one, the black one, or the red one, and they keep their special attacks. So the worst to get is the red ones, because they can all just continuously stun you, and it's really, really horrible. Then you can get the black ones, which reduce your armor, and you can get the yellow ones, which I don't really know what they do. I think they might drain your potions or something. Anyway, where you spawn is where the black ring is, and you basically have to charge those rings up so that when Telos does his one-hit attack, you can stop it, and the only way to charge the ring up is by killing the minions near to that ring. So the black minions spawn, you can stay where you are, the ring is just behind you, kill them nice and quickly. Good abilities to use are detonate, detonate, fire breath, chain, and what I'd really recommend is just using one auto attack to freeze those minions and then taking a step back, because that means that they can't hit you. They can't reduce the effectiveness of your armor. It just makes it a lot easier. And then, so once you've killed those minions, you're going to get the same bleed effect. However, it could be any of the 3 colours. You need to make sure you look what colour is hitting you and go to that beam to clear it. A good technique to use is to use barricade if you have enough adrenaline. And then that allows you to run to the beam without taking too much damage. If you don't clear the bleed, on top of taking a lot of damage, you'll take like a 5 or 4k hit at the end, which is just really, really bad. And you also need to make sure that you watch out for the rocks falling from the skies. You'll see like a little animation, and that means you need to move out of the way of those rocks, otherwise it's going to hit you for high damage. Now, the absolute worst minions to get, the red ones, are the ones that continuously stun you, which are the red ones. And the best way to deal with those is you want to go to the yellow beam, because that increases your adrenaline, and it does drain your prayer, but it increases your adrenaline. Adrenaline is really important when you're killing these. So basically, when you're killing those ones, you don't want to charge up the red orb. You want to kill them as fast as possible. So you want a sunshine, and then your adrenaline will instantly be built up, which means you can use thresholds on them, you can use the tidal wave attack on them, tsunami attack, use all those AoE abilities to kill them as fast as possible. And when it comes to Telos' one-hit attack, all you need to do is stay in the yellow beam and use immortality, and that means you'll survive. You'll have killed those red ones nice and quickly, because they're just an absolute pain. You don't want to lure them, you want all the adrenaline you can. You want to use the defensives when you can. And the key thing to remember is that the key thing about this phase is when to use your ultimate abilities. The best time to use Onslaught is, so there's a rotation. It'll spawn the minions, and then it'll give you the bleed, and then it'll change the order of the beams going into Telos. So just after, you want to try and have killed the minions by the time that the order of those beams change. So you clear your bleed, and then as the beams change, you want to go into the yellow one and go straight into your Onslaught. It's the absolute perfect time to do it, because it'll be the longest time between Telos doing his immortality attack, so you can get the Onslaught going for as long as possible. Or alternatively, you want to do Sunshine and get all your thresholds off on the Sunshine as well. But yeah, this phase it's very difficult to sort of explain. But yeah, if it's the green or the black ones, take them to the orbs, kill them at the orbs, and then touch the orbs when Telos does his one-hit attack. For the red ones, you want to kill them as fast as you can. Make sure you're in the yellow beam, so you've got lots of adrenaline to do that. Barricade the bleed that you get until you can clear that, and use immortality when he does his one-hit attack if you haven't charged the red orb up. Okay, so that's going to be it for this video, guys. Kind of difficult one to commentate over, just so much going on in those kills. But I really do hope that this helped anyone that has been struggling with this boss. I hope that some of the rotations will be useful for people. And yeah, if you did enjoy, don't forget to like this video, guys, and subscribe. Really do appreciate it. If you want to see some more of my content, do check out my older videos. And yeah, thanks very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.